Good evening. Welcome to tonight's scary bedtime story to help you fall asleep. Please comment below and tell me where you are watching from and what time it is there. I was 22 when I moved into the basement apartment of my parents' house. Not to get away from them, just to save some cash and finally feel like I had some kind of space of my own. It had everything I needed. Private side entrance, living room with a small kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, even a laundry room down the hall. The only connection to the main house was a locked door at the top of the stairs. When they left for the weekend, the place felt like mine. No rules, no one listening through the floorboards, just freedom. That Friday night, I had two of my buddies over, Anthony and Jay. We drank, watched the hockey game, blasted music, and laughed way too loud. My parents' fridge upstairs was bigger, so we kept the drinks up there. No big deal. I left the connecting door unlocked. We got buzzed, but nothing wild. They decided to crash on the massive sectional couch down in the living room. By 2 a.m., I said goodnight and collapsed into bed. That's when things started. Somewhere deep in the night, I woke up. Something stirred me, but I wasn't sure what. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Soft, deliberate, above me. I thought nothing of it. Probably Anthony or Jay heading upstairs to grab a bottle of water. I rolled over, until the doorknob to my bedroom turned. It jiggled softly, and then stopped. But it was locked. Thank God. I always lock it. Habit. I didn't say anything, just held still, half asleep, assuming it was one of them being dumb or needing something. Whoever it was didn't knock, just tried the knob, and left. The next morning, Anthony was gone. Jay was still crashed on the couch. I asked if he tried to come into my room. He rubbed his eyes and shook his head. I don't think so, man. I was pretty gone, though. We grabbed breakfast at a deli nearby. I didn't ask Anthony. Didn't seem important, but I should have. That night, I got home late, still sober, but exhausted. I ate a snack, watched something mindless in bed, dozed off. That's when I heard it again, creaking, above me, right in the kitchen. My parents weren't due back until Monday. I froze. Was it just the house settling? Old pipes? A raccoon on the roof? I listened. Then silence. I started to relax, until the doorknob to my bedroom turned again. This time it wasn't soft. It rattled once, then stopped. And then, a knock. Just one. Gentle. Like someone testing if I'd respond. I didn't. My phone was in bed with me. I texted my parents, Anthony, Jay, anyone. No one responded. The feeling in my chest was like ice water. I slid out of bed, grabbed a heavy flashlight from the nightstand. I crouched behind the dresser near the door and waited. Every second stretched. 10 minutes passed, maybe more. Then I called 911, whispered what was happening. Told them I couldn't leave the room. Asked if they could tell the responding officers to meet me at the window. I was on the ground floor. Lucky. A soft tap came at the window. A cop in uniform. I opened it, gave him my spare key to the side entrance, and backed away. Moments later, I heard the apartment door open. 2 officers entered, weapons drawn. They cleared the basement first. Quick. Nothing. Then we moved upstairs. They checked each room while I stood in the hallway, my heart jackhammering in my chest. When they entered my parents' bedroom, I heard yelling. One officer barked commands. The other shouted for someone to come out. I peeked into the room, just for a second, and saw it. A man. Dirty. Tall. Wearing a sweatshirt and shorts. Curled up under my parents' bed. He looked like something that had slithered in from another world. And when they dragged him out, he stared at me. His eyes were hollow. His face contorted into something between fury and hatred. I didn't know him. Had never seen him in my life. And still, he looked at me like I had wronged him. The officers asked if I knew who he was. I said no. He didn't resist. He just went limp as they led him outside. They said he was probably homeless. Maybe had slipped in when the door was unlocked that night we were blasting music. Or maybe he'd already been in the house, the whole time. Just waiting, watching. And I wouldn't have known until it was too late. It was 2008. I was 15 years old. home alone for the night. My parents had gone to the casino, leaving me in charge of the house, and Abby, our black Labrador. I didn't mind. I liked the quiet. I had my laptop open, chatting with friends on Messenger, watching dumb videos on YouTube, feeling invincible the way you only do when you're young and think you're safe inside your own walls. It was about 11 p.m. when Abby started barking. Not just one bark, but frantic, sharp bursts aimed at the living room windows. I paused my typing and glanced over. Nothing out of the ordinary. Just the dark. Just the street noise outside. Still, Abby was tense, her body low, growling. I crept toward the window, careful not to turn on any lights inside, peeking through the curtain. Only one car sat in the driveway. My parents' sedan. They weren't home yet. Maybe it was nothing. A car door slamming across the street. A shadow moving in the wrong place at the wrong time. I reassured myself. Abby eventually settled down. For a while. I went back to chatting. But the feeling didn't leave. A creeping sense of being watched, even through the closed windows. 5 minutes passed, and then the knock came. Not at the front door, but at the side door. The one barely visible from the street, hidden around the back of the house. My stomach dropped. Abby lunged toward the door, barking so violently I thought she might break something. I stood frozen, listening. The knock came again, louder this time. Then the sound of a doorknob twisting. But not at the side door. At the basement door. The one tucked under the deck, almost invisible unless you already knew it was there. I hadn't heard footsteps. Hadn't heard anyone move around the outside. It was like whoever was there already knew exactly where to go. My mouth went dry. Someone was trying to get in. Through the basement. Through the one door that was almost never used. Abby bolted for the basement steps, snarling, the fur on her back standing on end. And then, silence. No more rattling, no more knocking. Just the low, guttural sound of Abby's growl vibrating through the house. I stood there paralyzed. What if they were inside already? What if they were creeping up the stairs right now? Every horror movie I'd ever seen started flashing through my mind. I snapped out of it, sprinted for the basement door and locked it, double deadbolt, grabbed the old home phone, no cell phone yet back then, and ran into my parents' bedroom. There was a gun locked in the closet. I knew where they kept the key. Hands shaking, I unlocked it and pulled out the pistol. It felt heavy, foreign, but somehow comforting. I was about to call 911 when the front door opened. I almost pulled the trigger, until I heard it. My mom's voice, and then my dad's. Abby charged toward them, tail wagging, barking with excitement now. I ran into the living room, my face pale, breathless. They stared at me, confused. "What happened?" my mom asked, already anxious from the look in my eyes. I told them everything. The barking, the knocking, the basement door, the rattling. Their faces darkened. My dad didn't waste a second. He grabbed his own gun, went room by room through the house, searching every corner, every closet. Nothing. The backyard? Empty. Basement? Locked tight. No signs of forced entry. It didn't make sense. The next day the knock came again, but not the kind that sends your blood running cold. This was a polite knock. Middle of the afternoon. My dad answered the door, and standing there, with a sheepish smile, was Uncle Pete. A man who, even before that night, had always made me uneasy. He was holding an envelope in his hand. "I just wanted to drop this off," he said. "Thanks for helping my daughter with softball." Inside the envelope was a thank you card. And a gift card. Sounds harmless, right? But I knew better. Because as I stood hidden in the hallway, listening to that conversation, I realized something. Uncle Pete had said, "I tried stopping by last night, but no one was home." But he hadn't tried the front door. He hadn't called. He hadn't left a note. He had gone straight for the side door, and then the basement. What was he planning to do if he got inside? I never found out. My dad slammed the door on him without another word. After that, we cut ties. Family or not, some things can't be forgiven.
I'm older now.
And I still wonder, what would have happened if Abby hadn't been there that night? What if I hadn't heard the knock? What if Uncle Pete had gotten in quietly, before I ever knew he was there.
Some monsters don't hide under your bed.
Sometimes they pull into your driveway and knock. And sometimes they already have a key. I moved to the woods to be alone. 5 years ago, I bought a cabin tucked deep into Hollow Ridge, a place where the trees stretched on forever, and the nearest neighbor was a blurry dot on the horizon. I liked it that way. No traffic, no sirens, no one knocking at the door unless you invited them. Just me, the lake out back, and the endless whispering woods. The first time it happened, it was a Tuesday night. I was sitting on the deck, beer in hand, listening to the crickets and feeling the day sink into the trees. The sun had long since disappeared, leaving the woods bathed in silver moonlight and long crawling shadows. Then, snap. A twig breaking, far off at first. Then another, closer. I didn't move. Probably a deer or a raccoon. Happened all the time out here. But that night it didn't feel like an animal. It felt deliberate. I went inside, locked the doors, and pushed it out of my mind. But it didn't stop. Each night something new. First, the faintest scratching sounds, like nails against the side of the cabin. Then tapping, at the windows. Always the spare bedroom window first. I told myself it was the wind. Tree branches brushing against the glass. I wanted to believe it, until the night I heard it. Breathing. Low. Wet. Coming from just outside the window. I grabbed my flashlight and pulled the curtain back. Nothing. Just the woods, still and black. But I could feel it. Something was there. Watching. Waiting. I started sleeping on the couch in the living room. The spare bedroom door stayed shut. Nights dragged into weeks. Every single night, scratching, tapping, soft, deliberate breathing. And once, a whisper. Too faint to make out the words, but I swear it came from inside the walls. Still, I stayed. I wasn't about to get run off my own land by a few creaks in the dark. Until that final night. It started like all the others. I turned off the lights, locked every door, double-checked every window. I sat in bed, bat clutched tight in my hand, listening. The tapping came. Right on schedule. Window, spare bedroom. Then, a shape. Through the curtain, a silhouette. Tall, thin, pressing against the glass like it wanted to seep through. I froze, afraid to breathe. The silhouette moved away. I ran for the phone, called 911, my voice shaking so hard I could barely form the words. "There's someone outside, please. Hurry." As I hung up, I heard it. A soft creak, inside the hallway. It was in the house. I didn't think. Didn't look, just ran, out the back door. Into the woods. Branches whipped my face. Roots grabbed my feet. I sprinted through the blackness until my lungs burned and my heart was pounding so loud it drowned out everything else. Behind me, the snapping of twigs, the rhythmic thudding of something bigger than a man. I didn't look back. Couldn't. Finally, I saw it. Flashing lights cutting through the trees like salvation. Police. I stumbled toward them, waving, screaming. They surrounded the cabin, weapons drawn. I didn't stay to watch. I couldn't. I knew. Whatever it wasn't done. I haven't been back to the cabin since. It still stands there, empty, waiting. But some nights, even now, lying in a new bed in a new town miles away, I swear I still hear it. Tap, tap, tap at the window. 5 years ago, I bought a cabin deep in the backwoods of Cold Hollow, upstate New York. No neighbors for miles, no traffic, just trees and silence. It was perfect, the kind of silence you earn. I didn't miss the city, I didn't miss people, and I never felt lonely. Until the woods started watching me back. It began slow, barely noticeable, a twig snapping outside at night, rustling leaves when there was no wind. The usual, right? Animals, raccoons, maybe a deer. But night after night it got worse, more deliberate. I remember one evening, it had to be just past midnight. I was out on the deck, staring into the dark with a beer in hand. No sound, just stillness. Then, scratch. From the far side of the cabin, right under the spare bedroom window. It was faint, like nails dragging across wood. Slow, careful. I turned off the deck light, thinking I'd catch a glimpse of something. But there was nothing. Just trees and cold dirt. I chalked it up to paranoia and went inside. Locked the doors, turned out the lights. But I couldn't sleep. Every creak of the cabin felt like footsteps. Every flicker of shadow, a figure waiting just outside the glass. The next night it came back. The same scratching, same time. Only this time, it was followed by tapping. Not random, rhythmic. Tap, tap, tap. I crept to the spare bedroom, heart pounding. Drew the curtain slowly, and saw nothing. No person, no animal. Just the woods staring back. But the air felt wrong, heavy. Like something was standing just out of view, breathing in the silence. I started sleeping in the living room again. Left a bat next to the couch. But the sounds didn't stop. They got closer. And one night, I heard whispering. Not words, not language, just noise. Inside the walls. The kind of sound that turns your skin cold. I wanted to believe I was losing it. That it was isolation, cabin fever. But deep down I knew better. This place wasn't empty anymore. So I made a plan. I'd check every room, every crawl space. I grabbed a crowbar and flashlight and made my way to the spare bedroom. It was ice cold inside, dust everywhere. I hadn't opened that door in weeks. Nothing unusual at first. Bed, closet, dresser. But then I noticed it. The closet door, slightly open, not much. Just enough to make your stomach knot. I stepped closer, shining my light into the dark space. Empty. Except, at the very back corner, something caught the light. A scrap of cloth, torn, dark, wedged between the wall and floor. Too clean to be old. Too new to be mine. I backed out of the room, locked the door, double bolt, and still, I didn't feel safe. That night I slept on the couch again, bat in hand. But for the first time in weeks, there was no sound, just silence. The next night I told myself I'd take back control. No more hiding in the living room. No more letting fear run the place. I went to bed early. Tried to pretend I didn't hear the wind. Didn't hear the cabin shift. Didn't hear tap, 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 right outside my bedroom window. I didn't freeze this time. I grabbed the flashlight and ran to the window. And there it was, a shadow, tall, slender, still, standing just beyond the glass. Watching. No face. Just the shape of something that didn't belong. I turned and bolted. Called 911, hands shaking so bad I could barely hit the numbers. I gave them my location and begged them to hurry. That's when I heard it. The back door. It creaked open. Not forced, not slammed, just opened. Like someone had found the key. I didn't hesitate. Ran through the front, into the woods, barefoot. No coat. Branches tore at my arms and face. But I kept running, until I saw the lights, red and blue, cutting through the darkness. I stumbled toward them, collapsed near the driveway as two officers ran past me toward the house. I didn't go back. I didn't want to know what they found, or who. Later, I called to confirm I was okay, so they wouldn't search for me. But the cabin? It's still there, empty, cold, waiting. And somewhere, I think, so is he.